Cool. All right. Well, we will let some people filter in here, and then we'll get things started in about 30 seconds or so. While that's happening, I guess I can share my screen. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think we can just go ahead and get things started, do some intros, and let people trickle in within the next couple minutes here. But welcome, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's enjoying their stay-at-home orders as much as possible. Today, we have an exciting webinar. My name is Nate Jones. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Structurally, and we have Nick Kramer with Driven Leads. How's it going, Nick?
Good, going great.
Good. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what Driven Leads does, and we'll kick things off?
Yeah, so I'm Nick Kramer, as Nate had said. I'm the president and founder of Driven Leads. We're an online lead gen solution working predominantly in the real estate mortgage industry. And we've been out and about for over 10 years running PPC campaigns in Google, and Microsoft Bing, and in Facebook. And actually we work with a lot of mutual clients that Nate's group has. So it's been good to get to know the Structurally gang and sort of see how they add value to everything that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we have some clients that overlap, and it's a really good fit because it's Structurally here. We're responsible for lead follow-up. We engage, nurture, and qualify leads. So it's obviously a good fit for us when we can get high volume online leads for customers that are coming through. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, which is basically how lead generation has changed during this pandemic. We're going to cover quite a bit of stats up front, and then Nick will share some stories, and then we'll kind of give some best practices, tips, and tricks that we've seen happening lately. So one thing I wanted to kick off, I've been kind of following just online trends recently, and this one, as well as a few more, have stuck out to me. So it's really obvious that more people are obviously online during these times. More people are wanting to connect. But one thing that was really surprising to me, you can see here, these bottom graphs are mobile apps, and these top graphs are websites. More people are connecting, but it's actually on desktop and not phone, not mobile apps, which I thought was really interesting. As you can see, Facebook, browser, website, daily traffic is way up, 27%. Netflix is up, and YouTube is up, while most of them on mobile are down. So I think that there's personally an opportunity to get more refined with your targeting. And this is your area of expertise, Nick, when you're setting up ads. Are you seeing anything where people can, focus more on their advertising on desktop?
Yeah. So with Google and Microsoft and even in Facebook, you have the option to with Google and Microsoft, more than not, you have an option to push traffic only into desktop, into mobile, into tablet. And honestly, what we typically see is we see a double-edged sword there, where there's a higher conversion rate when you're doing desktop over top of mobile. That's just the way it is. So if, right now with people being in seats at home on their desktop, we have some clients that are taking advantage of that opportunity and actually pushing away from mobile and going deeper into desktop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty fascinating for me to see this data. And I've heard a lot of people say things like, I'm putting my ad spend on hold right now. I'm gonna pause things for right now, and that obviously makes some sense to some degree, especially if you're on stay-at-home orders. You can't necessarily go out, show properties, set appointments, meet people in person. But now is not necessarily the time to just give up on your lead generation efforts, or put a pause on your database. Now is a great time to build that database up in efficient ways. You can maybe reduce some of your ad spend and allocate it to more pandemic friendly areas like desktop. And that would be something that I would definitely suggest, and that we've seen some of our customers do, is don't give up on your lead generation efforts right now. Just be smarter about your budget. So when things go back to normal, you can bounce back, have a bigger database, and ultimately have more people to nurture.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had a couple of clients that have paused out. We've had some that have drawn back a bit. But honestly, the people that are pausing or the people that are drawing back, the first thing we tell them is make sure you're trying to reconnect with and again connect with the leads that you've already generated, because 9 times out of 10 people that register online aren't buying a house tomorrow. They're buying a house in 90, 180 days. Some 30, 90, 180 is usually what you're seeing. So we're telling them be that sounding board for those people and help them with giving them facts. There's a lot of misinformation right now. So especially people coming in or people that have already registered, letting them know what with your mortgage, what housing market going to do when the all the limits are lifted. What's the what's the value of my house going to do from A to B? Does this anything? So just being a good sounding board and changing your message, I think, is what we tell people if they're pausing, and people that are not pausing, same thing. You're changing your message. I mean, like you guys probably have as well.
Yep. Yeah, we'll share some of those message changes towards the end of this webinar, definitely. But it's really important to change not only your messaging, but also in how you communicate with your leads, but also your ad messaging.
Yep.
You don't want to act like nothing's going on right now, because that's not going to do any service to anyone.
Right. Yep.
I will also say that now's the time to be creative. This was from the same report, kind of a dark horse and unknown, or maybe a overlooked entity here with Nextdoor. I've never personally worked with anyone that advertises on Nextdoor. I don't know if you have, Nick, but I hear people talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear people talk about it, and maybe now is the time to explore it a little bit, because apparently they're up 73%
Yeah.
on their daily average traffic on web again. So I know they have opportunities for agents to buy some ad spots.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a mindset shift. Again, you have to get in the mindset where you're literally like helping your neighbor.
Yep.
You are that's really what the Nextdoor platform is about. And so you don't want to go on there, advertising aggressively. You want to go on there advertising like you're talking to your neighbor who has questions about the housing market when it jumps back. So that might be an opportunity there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, the Nextdoor and then even Facebook groups, for local Facebook groups that agents are in or they might manage, is again being that voice of reason. Real estate agents and mortgage lenders, lending officers know the facts, know more than the common person, even though they might not realize it. And just giving them sound advice and saying, yeah, you should still pay your mortgage regardless of what's going on with A or B, or just answering those questions and pointing them in the right direction, being a point of contact for information on where to do things properly. I think that's going to be that pays off in the end. Give help people where they're needed, help your neighborhood. That's what Nextdoor sort of started as when it before it started the advertising set. Is I think every neighborhood had their own resident realtor in there, so that's a good opportunity there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think more so than ever, local is important. That's another thing that this report kind of alluded to was local established newspaper readership online is up during these times, and large media orgs and partisan sites is down. So more people are looking for relevant, expert, local content. Mm-hmm. And I think realtors, there used to be the whole motto of be the mayor of your neighborhood, essentially. That's even more important now but you want to be the voice of reason in your neighborhood. And there are potentially opportunities to get into some advertising with your local newspaper
Yep.
during this time, because that readership is up as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's a great point.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately what it leads down to, obviously it's great to get more eyeballs, great to get more forms, which we've all seen. More people are actually searching for properties. It may be more passive right now, but it's still a great opportunity to build your database. And once you have that database, or even your existing database, now is a great opportunity to call that database. Some stats from Verizon here that I thought were really fascinating, where they were seeing about 9 billion daily text messages, 800 million daily phone calls, and phone call duration is 33% longer. To put that in perspective, according to Verizon, these stats are higher than what they see on Mother's Day, which is pretty notorious for being one of the most active calling days of the year.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Everyone wants to call their mom.
Yeah.
So I thought these were pretty fascinating, and this has been pretty consistent data throughout the pandemic time. People want to talk on the phone,
Yep.
especially people who are buying a home. I've heard some people put it this way: adults are craving talking to other adults,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they have kids at home.
Yep.
Pete here, who is helping us host the webinar, has a few kids at home. I'm sure he would absolutely love to talk to other adults about what he thinks is going to happen during the pandemic, afterwards, how's it going with work, just intellectually stimulating conversations that are less stressful.
Yeah.
Everyone has an opinion on what's going to happen during the pandemic or after, and you can be the sounding board and the voice of reason for these people who actually want to take your phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah. The phone call for the soul sort of thing with people, whether you do or don't have kids, you're craving that contact that you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a lot of clients say that a lot of people are picking up the phone and talking compared to being a struggle to get people on the phone. So, again, having the conversations, being on the phone longer, that's a good thing for our industry for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do, the one stat I didn't add here, text messaging. So structurally, we're focused exclusively on texting right now, but emailing is actually down, I think, some 30%, which makes a lot of sense because, it's usually used for corporate interwork communication. And I think more people are looking to video chat and just simply calling their colleagues versus emailing. So one thing that I would consider in how you might change your drip campaigns or your automated follow-up campaigns that you might have in place right now is focus a little bit more on texting, focus very heavily on phone calls, but all in all change a significant amount of how you do your messaging as well, which we'll kind of get into at the end. So some stats from Structurally side. So again, we follow up, nurture, and qualify leads through text messaging. So we have quite a bit of text messaging data. One thing that we've seen, so what you're looking at here is stats between February 20th and yesterday, which is approximately, what we've been kind of sheltered in place for, at least the bulk of it. So about 2 months of data too. Response rate, this is just people who respond to our outbound text messages, has gone up some 20%, which was really surprising to me. I'm not exactly sure why. I do have a hunch that it could be from our script changes or our drip changes. So we made some changes that we'll get to in a few slides here, but there's something along the lines of, thanks for filling out our site. I know there's some uncertainty going on in the world right now, so on and so forth. And if you think people just pick up on that, they're more inclined to think it's a real person texting them, and they're more inclined to feel guilty in a way if they don't respond. So I think that could be impacting some of the response rate, which is normally about 57%.
Mm-hmm.
Our agent ready leads, those are leads who basically want to take the next step, or they're qualified in a way through our product. So they had a two-way conversation with our product, made it to taking a next step. So we usually average about 12% of all of our leads become agent ready. That is up a little bit. I don't really have a good insight into that. The appointment set one was really surprising to me. I thought that would be down.
Yeah.
Because you obviously are probably setting less appointments, but the one scripting change that we'll get to here, we actually changed our appointment setting language to offer a virtual tour or digital tour as well. And so when someone says yes to doing a digital tour or gives a time where they can basically be available at their computer, that also counts as an appointment set in our product, because they're telling us literally a time to either take a phone call or, get online.
Yep.
So that could be leading to the slight increase, but these were interesting stats for us nonetheless. I do think that it just goes to back up that, text messaging in general across the board is up and is a really good opportunity to nurture your database or even, continue to go after the new leads that you are getting.
Yeah, and I think that your 3% from 2%, that might look like just a one change, but that's a massive number. That's a massive clip.
Yep.
In an appointment set, I would guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this one was another interesting few stats for us right now. So this is again the same time frame between February 20th and yesterday. We have a few different ways that we categorize basically leads responses, whatever they say. So reconnect later is something that we kind of generally group into when a lead says something like, you know what, I'm not looking right now, but follow up with me in a year. That would be something like reconnect later because our product actually goes so far as follows up with them in about a year. But we thought we would see an increase in that because more people are like, let's reconnect after, the dust settles after this pandemic. And no surprise that percent is up. So people are tending to wait a little bit. I think that just gives you the opportunity to follow up with them in a couple months from now.
Yeah.
So that's up, about a full percent, up to 5.5% of all of our leads during this time frame versus 4.8% during basically the winter months, December of last year until February of this year. Mentioned hardship is anything. It's a grouping of anything between like someone saying they lost their job or they're going through a divorce or they're, someone died or got sick. So something pretty bad has happened in their life. We thought that would go up a little bit more because of, potentially people being furloughed or laid off or losing their job. I thought this was just kind of an interesting one to catch. I thought it would go up, but it didn't go up a ton. So that's good news. But just something to be cognizant of when you're talking to your leads, that you never want to assume something. You never want to assume that someone's moving because they lost their job and that's in any way sort a positive thing. So when you're talking to your leads, you just have to be cognizant and never assume anything when you're talking to them. So on to some of the scripting changes here. This is a lot to take in, but basically take a look at the highlighted green stuff here. These are kind of our intro messages. All in all, we changed like some 500 individual messages across all of our product, from individual introduction messages, right when a lead registers, to our drip messages that are 2 to 4 to 3 months from now, because we don't want to just play dumb or be unaware of what's going on. No matter where a lead is at in their life cycle, if you put them on an automated drip campaign 3 months from now, it's not like you can just forget that the pandemic happened. You still have to make reference to it. So we made sure that our drip messages for any leads that came in, today that we're talking to or following up with 3 months from now, there's still reference to what had happened during this time. So some of the things that we did, you can see here, I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, but we appreciate you searching for homes online with us. Are you looking out of curiosity or considering a move once things calm down? That's a really easy way to start a conversation with someone who just registered. So this is something that we use for buyers. For buyers who registered, a typical property inquiry lead who registered about a specific property, for example, we would say something like, would you like to schedule a showing or a virtual tour? What time would work well for you? Pretty easy change there, but obviously you have to be cognizant and aware of what you're able to offer right now. And then for a seller new registration lead, we say something like, I know there's a lot going on in the world right now. Appreciate you reaching out. Is there a good time for us to stop by or do a virtual tour assessment? So again, just trying to reference some of what's going on. So all of these are live in our product right now. Again, I think that has led to that increase in response rate that we've seen. And all in all, I think that there's no time like now to get a hold of your leads. Now is one of the most interesting lead generation times I think that we've seen. I know that I've personally seen. Nick, I don't know if you've seen anything like this, but what are you seeing kind of from some of your clients in terms of how they've changed their lead generation?
Yeah. So the first week and when you had the unknown, we saw a drop about 15-20% in traffic. And the first week when everything was sort of, the country was starting to really lock down and take hold of everything, we saw that drop to almost a full 50% from normal levels. The week after it came back, the week after that, it almost jumped back to normal. And we saw a lot of people leave the market space and stop spending. And surprisingly, we saw our conversion rates jump. So, cost per click was a little bit less. Wasn't a significant amount less, but the cost per lead has really dropped a ton, and the conversion rates rose in that set. So we've actually seen a lot more captive audience. We've seen clients getting in touch with more people. Same thing that you're seeing more appointments set, more conversations happening. And I think it has a lot to do with those agents and brokers being receptive and being, having a heart, being responsive in the sense that we know it's a weird time. We're here to answer questions, look at all the houses you want. Let us know if you need anything else, sort of thing. So, we were surprised to see that. We thought traffic would be down considerably, and it's back up to almost normal paces. So that's a surprise for us.
Have you seen anywhere, like any specific channel that has been particularly worse or better?
We saw the seller valuation stuff that we do. We've seen a drop in that. Just the traffic has dropped, and it really hasn't come back. It's not a large cog in the wheel for us. For us, a lot of people are more buyer centric. Sellers kind of a limited traffic. The cash for homes, the iBuyer stuff, I don't think it has anything to do with the big firms that are dropping out of the race, but at the same time, people doing searches for that has dropped and really hasn't come back as fast as the buy side stuff has. So that was kind of surprising, but Microsoft and Google sort of run parallel on their levels. So all those have been pretty active in what we're seeing. Certain pockets of the country, you're getting traffic that's still down and numbers that aren't as great, but for the most part, as a whole for the country, everything's pretty normal aside from that iBuyer, and the seller stuff is down maybe 15-20% still.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah, that's been interesting just to kind of watch. And do you do any sort of like video ads or anything on YouTube? Do you think that the video is?
Yeah, we do some video ads for some clients, and that just on a custom per per need basis.
Yeah.
You've actually seen a lot of, like you said, that YouTube is down for mobile but up for desktop. So
Mm-hmm.
you've seen some of that. We've seen some increases in that. You know, captive audience wise we do display. So the display audiences. So you're seeing on, like you said, there's more traffic for the local newspapers than there are for the CNNs, the Fox Newses, the MSNBCs. So we have seen there's a bump in that traffic as well. People are trying to figure out more information. So for display marketing, we've seen a lot of the traffic push towards that. Obviously, ESPN's traffic is way down. There's some channels that are just down and they're not going to be back anytime soon. So we've seen that shift for the display side, and I would guess that on the YouTube side, stuff's going to be similar to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my hunch with the whole display stuff. So again, for those of you who might have missed the beginning, we're kind of talking about how local newspaper readership is up digitally. I still think there's a good opportunity for that display network.
Yep.
To get your message across on these local sites. It's a great opportunity for you to show your affiliation with your community. You know, it's one thing to build trust and build your brand by associating it with being on your local newspaper, and then if coupled with a really great message, especially that's timely and relevant to the pandemic, I think that you'll be able to get some eyeballs and worst case scenario, just build your brand and help people kind of hopefully associate you with being knowledgeable and understanding of what's going on in the local market, especially for when it comes back.
Yep. 100%.
Cool. Awesome. I guess Pete's answering a question right now, but one thing I want to just wrap up on, and we'll kind of, talk a little bit about what we do, both here at Structurally and Driven Leads. I kind of alluded to what we're doing here at Structurally. We follow up with your leads 24/7, 365 in under 2 minutes. We follow up with them for 12 months, and then we actually have a two-way conversation once a lead responds. All of our scripts, I mentioned about 500 drip messages, our long-term nurture have been updated, but all of our scripts, the two-way conversation has been updated too. We wrote a recent article on structurally.com/blogs where you can see some of those updated, but it's just something to be aware of when you're qualifying leads as well. If you don't want to do that, you can let us do it. And Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about where people can learn more about Driven Leads, kind of what you guys do and how you might integrate with us?
Yeah, so drivenleads.com, pretty straightforward. We work with pretty much every major CRM in the real estate industry. If we're working with the mortgage side or custom lead gen stuff on that, we use something like Unbounce or a value add solution like that. We're out there driving leads into the CRM, so Structurally can follow up. Where Structurally is a great fit for us and a great solution for our clients is when we're generating hundreds of leads a month, it's near impossible to be on it every 2 minutes and to keep that follow-up going. Structurally does a great job for the clients that we share of getting in front of those people, setting those appointments, and making sure that the ROI stays at a premium. So we've been doing lead generation in all those on pretty much all CRMs that you'll see for real estate agents for the last 10 years. And what our big thing and our kicker for our side is we're always up for conversation, answering questions. Questions don't cost a thing, and we love to have conversations, especially now when we got nothing else to do but talk on the phone instead of hanging out in silence at home. So we're here to answer anything you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We love obviously working with your guys' leads. It is a great fit because you already work with the CRMs we work with. Structurally has many integrations with many real estate CRMs, the same as you guys do. At the end of the day, I hope that all of this information was thought-provoking for everyone here, that you can be creative with where you might be spending your advertising dollars today. But if you're looking for, the more professional, hands-on, expert approach where it's just done for you, which I know agents love things done for them. I don't blame you. I do too. There's a really great opportunity with people like with Driven Leads and Structurally, who can basically, give you the peace of mind that your messaging, your ads are making it to the most efficient channels. So you're not wasting dollars spending on ads that, aren't going to convert, especially today. But also when you actually get conversions, that your conversations are relevant, timely, and effective to get people to respond, but also to get them to convert to a next step. That it's basically just a done for you solution with the tech that you're already using, your CRM. Both Driven Leads and Structurally can kind of play into it in one central location. So there's a lot of kind of hands-off, done for you aspects that I hope that we've provided to you today. If you're more interested in kind of some of these stats that you want to take a look at for yourself too, this whole slide deck will be shared here later on. This whole video will be shared for those of you who registered via email in a recording. We'll also put it on our YouTube page, just the Structurally YouTube. And eventually we're going to get caught up on the ISA radio, which is where we put an audio version of all of these webinars. So you can listen to it on your favorite, wherever you listen to podcasts. Where can people learn a little bit more about you, Nick, and Driven Leads?
Yeah, they can find us online at drivenleads.com. They can reach out to us on facebook.com/drivenleads as well. We're online pretty much 24/7. If they reach out, somebody from the team will touch base with them. We're all based out of Iowa, much like Nate and his group. So Midwest is representing pretty well, but like I said, we're open for conversations and always around to take care of anything that anybody has for needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to have someone, a fellow Iowan on. So appreciate your time, Nick. Thanks everyone. If you have any questions, let us know. Shoot us an email. Nate@structurally.com is my email, and you'll get a copy of this recording shortly. All right. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care.